on our live stream. And and now that we're here, and I want to say it was a great episode today on lightweight project management. And but before that, I just want to say a big thank you to CRN for putting us on the MSP 500. We're on the MSP Pioneer 250. It's a kind of a great honor to be part of that community. And thank you, CRN, for recognizing the valiant and the great work that the team does day in, day out to support our customers and just keep everyone kind of supported, especially during this really hard year of the pandemic. So we really appreciate everyone's work. And a lot of people here on this call are part of that. So thank you, everyone. We appreciate it. Today, actually, we're a little bit of a different. We have Matt on with us today. Matt usually kind of does all the background. He kind of keeps us moving. He just develops the content. He kind of produces the show. But today he's a topic he's really passionate about. So he said, I really want to be on it. And I was like, man, just get in there. So it's really good stuff. So anyway, Matt, before we do that, I would love to say...
let's talk about passion for a moment.
Too much control. Too much control. Exactly.
Absolute power corrupts.
Absolutely. It corrupts absolutely. But if you have a chance, please check us out on if you're here, or these streams are also recorded. We have a whole library on YouTube, nightway.com live. Check it out. And before that, I think it's time for the download.
All right, yeah. So today is National Battery Day, and something I think we all take for granted at least a little bit, and until our phones get down to, I don't know about you guys, mine under 40% is danger zone. But I wanted to talk a little bit about some less common batteries, battery types, and usages of batteries. With the first being UPS batteries, and these in some ways are the unsung heroes of the IT closet, because you don't really think about them, you don't really care about them until there's an issue or you hear them beeping, and they really are an important piece of hardware to have to protect the investment you have in your IT infrastructure. The purpose of them is a couple couplefold. First, it kind of evens out the power that's coming in. So even when there's not a full blackout or brownout, you could get spikes like surges that you can protect with a surge protector, but you can also get dips where it's just a little bit less power. And having a UPS battery helps even that out so that there's more of a constant flow of electricity to the devices. The second thing that it does, and what people are more familiar with, is protecting your equipment when there's a loss of power. Most UPS systems are not meant to run for a long time. Sometimes there's a runtime of 5 minutes. The idea here is not to keep everything up and running and going when there's no power. It's to give you time to shut things down correctly, to go through the shutdown sequence rather than just pulling the plug on things. So a lot of smaller batteries will do that just fine, and those are generally considered offline batteries. There are also larger batteries that are built a little differently called online batteries, and what these do is gross oversimplification, but basically your equipment is always running off of the same power that's going through the battery. So when there's an outage, there isn't that flip of switching to battery. It just continues. And those tend to be in larger systems that have longer run times, where you're waiting for a generator to kick in, or, we need to keep everything running for 20 minutes while the power system resets. And those are built for that. For most small business offices, we're looking at just smaller offline style batteries that are just meant to let the system power itself down in a correct way without being completely shut off, and protecting it from spikes. There's also a market that is starting to emerge in what's called whole house batteries. And if you have solar power in your house, this is something that is often companies that as a way to charge during the day and run at night. But you can also use whole house batteries in some ways as a replacement for a whole house generator. There are some that tie directly into your electrical system, they charge, and there are are even some that are small enough that really you're running just a few things off of it, like keeping a refrigerator running or keeping some equipment running. And those a bunch of different brands and types, with Tesla Powerwall being the sort of the name brand, but there's a lot of others out there. The last type of battery that I like to talk about it and think about it are emergency battery packs, and these are, I'm sure you're familiar with the little handheld charger guys that you have for your phones, but there are some that are much more robust. You can think about like a suitcase carrying case that's a full battery pack and has other chargers in it. Some of them have solar panels that you can use to charge them, and they can usually charge a phone and a laptop and something else. Great example of that is I have in the trunk of my car, I have one that is a battery, a air pump for tires. It has a cable to jumpstart a car, and you could plug, the car charger stuff into it and charge stuff off of it. So that's a good type of battery just to have for an emergency situation, just to keep and be able to either keep working or get yourself going. I believe later today, around 11, after this stream is over, Matt's going to throw up some great content on our social, on Twitter, with more infographics and stuff about National Battery Day, some other things that you can do. So check that out. And if you have questions or anything else, let us know. And that is the download.
Awesome.
All right. Just really quickly, the thought of Justin having a briefcase in the back of his car just scares me a little bit. Could you imagine being on the road and he just kind of like opens the trunk and pulls out the briefcase?
I have everybody makes fun of me, but the trunk of my car has that. I call it car water, just a case of water that I keep in the car. I have blankets. I have a first aid kit. I used to have a road flare, but I think it went bad and we got rid of it. But flashlight, I'm prepared. If I get stuck in a snowdrift, I'm good for a couple of days before.
All right.
I'm less frightened and more imagining Justin pulling out like this battery and all his stuff and then like hacking into the system. It's just very cinematic in my head.
Well, if Justin were to do something like that and he really wanted it to be successful, he might want to employ some form of project management to track the steps, make sure he's got the right resources, make sure everything's timed properly, to make sure he can ensure that level of success. I don't know what that gauge of success would be, and I think we'll continue on at this segue. Instead of asking that,
I would love to hear more about project
management. Project management is something that I think a lot of small businesses would love to have in place, but don't necessarily do. Could be a lack of technical resources like the right software. It could be a lack of having someone who's a project manager. And at the end of the day, that's okay. This entire thing that we're going to go over right now is about project management for non-project managers. I'm not a project manager by any means. The rest of everyone here can tell you how much it takes to keep me on track. But this tool actually does help. So I figured let's go through that today.
Great.
But first, let's talk about what a project is and really break it down into its simplest components. Really look at it under microscope. At the end of the day, it's a bunch of tasks that have a starting, an ending, and some kind of goal that you want to meet. Yeah. That's all the project is. Mm-hmm. A project is making a grilled cheese sandwich. Step one. You go to the fridge, you get some bread, you get your butter, you get your cheese, maybe you find your pan. Each one of those are a little micro task that helps you achieve that overall goal of pretending that you're in a Kraft commercial and singing that grilled cheese song that keeps getting stuck in everyone's head during the pandemic. Project management is really just the way that we organize the resources and the tasks that we have at hand in order to accomplish our goal. So if we can break down projects and project management into something so simple, why can't we have a piece of software that allows us to do that as well? Mm-hmm. And having a piece of software like that, especially right now in the pandemic, is incredibly important because there are a lot of issues that take place since we're not all in the same place. And all 5 of us work together on a regular basis. Mm-hmm. I consider you guys to very much be like family. I've known a lot of you for almost a half a decade, in some cases a full decade at this point, which is kind of crazy.
Yeah, it's true.
But there are certain statistics that I found over the past few days putting together the stream that were a little cringeworthy to me, but things that I think that we all experience as well, just because it's reality. Don't mind me, we do have a script. 88% of remote workers right now face inconsistent leadership and miscommunications with other team members. That can be as simple as, hey, I thought we were going to do this on Wednesday. It's now Thursday. What happened?
Yeah.
Or the classic, wait, I'm supposed to do that? I thought you were doing that.
Yeah, that's not you. Yeah.
We're streaming today? 83% of employees report feeling burnt out by a high volume of emails. I mean, I don't know how many emails you guys get per day, but sometimes I just close Outlook completely, and it's like, sorry guys, if you don't hear from me, you don't hear from me for the moment because I've got other things that need to be done. And I think that we all experience that on a regular basis. It's an incredibly frustrating thing to go through. And 1 in 5 employees do cite an unmanageable workload as being the #1 cause of burnout right now.
Yeah.
We just all have a lot on our shoulders at the moment. Miscommunication due to distance and technological barriers sometimes cause a lot of friction. And a lot of that friction is not necessary, especially if you have the ability to lay out exactly what it is that you want to do, set some responsibilities and expectations, and place everything in a centralized location where everyone can see it. Now, of course, exactly. And we're going to do a demo in a few minutes on that. Now, the other thing, and again, my script, because I get stage fright, a project management system can help with all 3 of these issues. And there are a lot of solutions out there. In fact, there are quite a few from Microsoft. There's Microsoft Dynamics. It's got its project operations module. That's really meant for the enterprise. It's part of their enterprise, ERP, Enterprise Resource Planning.
Yeah.
Right? See, we're SMB, ERP, whatever. Someday. And then there's also a good old Microsoft project that's been around for a long time. But that's a full-blown project management system, and there's a really good chance that if this is something that you're just trying to get into or have very basic needs, you don't need all that. Yeah. And there are also a lot of other alternatives that don't have anything to do with Microsoft, and we're going to talk about those towards the end of the stream today. So let's get into a demo. Let's do this really quickly. Give me 1 second here. All right, everyone can now see our 2021 content calendar. We're using our own tools right here to show you this. This isn't something that we've mocked up or faked. This is exactly what we use to put together our streams each week and our blog posts and our social media posts and our downloads that we put together, which, by the way, we do have a download, and I'm just going to interrupt everything for a second. I'm interrupting myself here. We have a new Microsoft Teams Power Pack that is filled with shortcuts and chat commands that make working in Microsoft Teams so much more streamlined. So you guys should check it out, thevaliantway.com/Microsoft Teams.
Awesome.
I'm good with this. Okay, so anyway, here we are. We're in Planner. And if you've never seen a Kanban board, that's what you're looking at. In Kanban's a methodology that was put together by an engineer at Toyota years ago. And it's a great way to kind of like take a lean approach to project management or break things down into really easy, digestible chunks. A lot of us have done this before. The only thing is that we've done it with sticky notes on a wall. And that's not really easy. That's not easy to control. It gets out of hand very, very quickly. It's easy for people to, make changes here and there and not have those changes be communicated because there's no way to detect the changes and alert a team automatically. And having the software version of that takes away a lot of those little pain points that make this kind of the thing that you see people have and kind of cringe. I mean, like I saw you guys kind of like do one of these, and it really can be a problem. Right. So Planner helps us eliminate that. And for our content calendar, what we've done is we've set up 4 different buckets. We've got our to-do list, which are the items that we're going to be doing in the near future. We have research, which are ones that we've already kind of started putting together, looking into what we want to do. Production are the tasks that are actively being worked on at this time. And delivery is where we put things that have already been completed. You could always mark a task as complete. Personally, I like having one big long list with all the stuff that we've completed. I don't want to see that all over the place in 4 or 5 different columns. I want them in one place. It's kind of like LL Cool J in Toys, where he wants his peas next to his carrots. They got to be divided. It's great that they're on the same plate. They got to be divided. And working here simple. So like if you look at our delivery column, you'll see that today's live stream on Lightweight Project Management is here. So we're going to give it a quick click, and we can take a look at what task in here looks like. We have the ability to assign tasks. So I'm going to go ahead and assign this one to George right now. There we go. And George is going to receive an email in a couple of seconds that'll let him know that this is now a task that he's been assigned to. He is expected to, complete the items that are inside of this task. We've got some notes here. This is kind of where we put our basic information. We've got our due date, which is today because that's the day we're going live.
Yep.
We have our checklist. So first we create an episode folder so we know all of our assets are. We put together our assets. We schedule our stream on StreamYard. We complete our stream structure. We do our final review, which we usually do in the morning. So we're going to check that off really quickly. Oops, I'm looking at the wrong window. Clicking the wrong thing.
I got this on Matt. I see it right here. I got the email. Thanks.
You got it? Perfect. There we go.
Ready to go.
And now that we're on the stream and we're delivering it, let's just mark it as complete, right? We don't need this up. Boom, we're done. Congratulations, team. Now, if we look at our charts, we'll see exactly what we've got going on here. And if you look here, out of what we've got, we have completed 22 tasks this quarter around content. And at the end of the day, as being a small team that we are, that's an impressive number.
Yeah.
And it's really nice to see this because anyone that's in, say, leadership, George, excuse me, the snow's got me sneezing, can look at this and see that we're getting things done. We can see what needs to still be done, where we may have some weak points in our approach. Are we late with delivery of blog posts? Are we on time with delivery of something else? Can we shift our priorities a little bit to make sure that we're getting everything done at the same time? Even better, we can see that in a calendar. We can see that in an actual calendar format that makes it so much easier to see what's going on. Like we can see right here that we have something from the 10th that we didn't get done. And you know what? Sometimes it happens. Sometimes other things take priority. And now we can look at this and see that we've got something red and we know exactly what it is that we need to look at, complete, and move on to the next task from. So we've got that here. Moving from one task, from one bucket to another, super easy. For example, we've got VL60, which is the first of our streams in the next unit of content we're working on. And we're going to move that over into production because that's starting today.
Yeah.
Super simple. Now you guys know where I am with the next 2 live streams. You don't have to ask me. You can come here and see. Not only can you come here and see, you could also even click here and see that the document that contains all the information for the stream is also located here. So this becomes that one-stop shop for anything around this particular initiative, project, whatever you want to call it, some kind of self-contained set of tasks that does have an end goal. And in this case, it's creating quality content for you.
About the attachments. Oh, I was going to say about the attachments. I really like it because you can attach any file and it would be like, it's located there, but you can also attach it as a link or as just directly from SharePoint. So it does integrate with that.
Exactly. In fact, if you had, we wanted to reference the blog because we had an important post we would want to bring up in the stream. There we go. We just had, now you guys know exactly where to go to get the information you need.
Yeah.
So
I think it's important to clarify too for people that we have these lanes set up, these buckets set up in what makes sense for us, but you can create them for whatever your workflow is, whatever your projects are, and different for different projects. Like you can make different projects that have, either one continual feed through like this where we're moving tasks through, or you can make one that's just for a specific project with specific phases or buckets or however that organizes for you. It's totally customizable for the way that your team is working.
I really like, we talked about, it being assigned to people, but I've even had people who just need to get on top of something themselves, and you can make a plan that's just for yourself, and you don't necessarily need to assign it to other people.
Absolutely. In fact, in the time that you and Justin were just mentioning that, we created a new plan for everyone to see who's watching and created different buckets. So if that can be done in about 30 seconds, I think that alone shows you how both powerful and easy this of a tool this is to use. Yeah. Now, make it a little bit better, it does integrate with Microsoft Teams and other components in the Office 365 ecosystem. It does have a different name though. So in typical Microsoft fashion, this is called Planner, but when you're working with it inside of Teams, it's called Tasks.
It's Tasks through Planner, yeah.
Thank you. So it can be a little bit confusing. In fact, if you do want to look into Planner yourself, the website address is tasks.office.com. So a little bit of a naming issue there, but whatever.
Yeah.
I always just recommend you go to office.com and click all apps and you can see it from there. So if you're starting, I say go to the main website, do it through the browser, and then you can think about doing it through Teams.
I tell you what.
That's just my recommendation, but if you want more tips, I made a whole KB article about it.
There we go.
Stuff.
Absolutely. So yeah, that was just our really quick demo of Planner. If anyone watching has any questions related to this whatsoever, please do submit a question and we will answer it in a live stream in the future or in a blog post. Now let's jump into some alternatives. Not everyone uses Microsoft products. Everyone's got their, their preferences. And this is not something that is limited to Microsoft. Like I said, it's based on a methodology from Toyota, which I think has been around for a couple of decades now, if I'm not wrong. I don't remember. I'm going to have to look that up myself.
It's like 50 years, actually.
Right. It's been some time. Yeah.
60s.
So let's talk about the different alternatives that are out there. There's Kabanchi, which is hopefully the way you pronounce it. I never get modern software names right. Ever since Twitter came out, I just gave up on that stuff. But it's a fantastic piece of software. I took quite a bit of time playing with it last week while looking at some alternatives. And if you're working within the Google G Suite, Google Workspaces ecosystem, this is what you should look at. Take a look at this. It's free to start with, and it's like $7.95 per user after the trial, which really isn't that bad if this is something that's going to really help optimize the work that you're doing in your workplace. It's a small price to pay for just another level of efficiency. Now, the next, you know what? We don't need the video. We don't need this up anymore. Thank you, Marianne.
Yeah.
It's oops. Hold on.
Ah,
There we go. It's
Doing too much at once.
yeah, sorry, too much responsibility.
Yeah, this is too much for me to handle at once. I need to manage this projects better, which you could do with Monday. Another tool that is, it's everywhere. I'm sure that if you have a Facebook or a LinkedIn account, you've probably seen ads for Monday.
Yeah.
And it's kind of at the point where I see it and I kind of I get a little frustrated because I see it so often, but it's a great product. It really, really is. The more I looked at it, the more I realized how many things are missing from Planner that I'd love to see added as time goes on. And I'm sure those will be because they're following a very particular methodology. And not only was that one that started at Toyota, but it's one that developers have taken over the years. And it's really been proven with software development. And I think that given that Microsoft builds software, they're going to kind of take the own experiences themselves and the developer communities and hopefully implement those changes as time goes on. They have so far. So it's really interesting. It's exciting to see. But back to some more alternatives. There's Trello. I think this is one that many, many people have heard of. I've used it with development teams in the past. I've used it with editorial teams. A couple of companies I've worked with have used it. It's from Atlassian. They do a lot of software and development. And, it doesn't need to be used by developers only. This can be used by anyone that wants to be able to manage their tasks. Next to Trello, there's Asana. And I tend to look at those as direct competitors. They've been around for a long time. You think of one, you think of the other. It's, Eminem, Mars kind of a thing.
Yeah. Asana came out of Google. It was Google engineering teams. That was their internal tasks that then converted
didn't
to
know that.
Asana. Yep.
Cool.
All right. And the very last, which is really one that I would say is more geared towards developers, is called Kanban. It's self-hosted. It's open source. It's actually what we used here at Valiant in the Valiant Cloud days, 2015,
Yes.
2017, 2018. We were using this quite a bit for project management. And the beauty is that all of these tools integrate into different systems that you're already using. For example, and this is something we're going to get into next month when we kind of switch over to automation integration, we're going to show how to set up notifications for when tasks are completed or responsibility of a task is handed to someone. And that's when things get really, really, really interesting. So I'm pretty psyched about that.
And like you said, it can integrate into things like Teams. We talked about having tasks through Planner in Teams, but you could have Asana in Teams. So that's
Correct. Yep. Trello as well. There's some deep integrations into it, and you see a lot, and you get a lot.
To keep it within your ecosystem, even though you're getting a third-party product. I also noticed in your notes that all of the ones that we mentioned have a free trial, but some of them are paid. So if you're already paid, obviously one of the reasons we like Planner is because if you're already paying for Office 365, you've got it.
You have it.
But these are all, per seat per month charges. Some of them are free all the way, like the Kanban that you said. So it's a good idea. Check it out and see which one works best for you.
Free but not free, because you're going to have a server to put it on and someone to install and maintain it. So you're going
that too. Yeah,
Exactly.
But yeah, and I see also in your notes, like some of them have different ways to look at things. We talked about primarily about the Kanban model, but there are a lot of things that other people like swim lanes, Gantt charts, and some of those can be integrated to other things.
Those are things I hope to see in the future. Swim lanes are
Yeah.
commonly used in software development. You may have like
which is more around the resource than the
or the stage of the project.
Stage,
So you may have like, you know, you're in what's the term, George? Minimum viable product.
Minimum viable product, yeah, MVP
Right.
for.
That's when you can get some kind of functional software done.
Right.
And then you start going into like deeper levels of development and eventually bring it to market. And each one of those can be a different swim lane. The Gantt charts are just nice, especially if you have the ability to create dependencies between tasks. So hopefully someone at Microsoft sees this and they kind of put this on their list of important items, because it's really important to be able to have tasks that you can tie to one another. I can't do my task until Justin takes care of his task.
Yeah.
And to be able to see that represented graphically makes a really big difference. That's like the one thing that Planner is lacking that I'd really love to see it have in the near future.
Right.
So,
now, well, all of these have a lot of visuals, which makes it a lot easier to organize when you can see it. You know, I mean, everyone's made a to-do list in the past, but if you can really have the visuals, you can see the different buckets, you can see the charts that come from it. It's really helpful.
Yeah, and I personally just being able to contextualize, like I want to know that I'm doing things right in the chain of events. So these programs really help that. Just know like where I fit in the larger context of the effort of my team. Like it's reassuring.
Super useful. Yep.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I think this was a super informative, very drive-by introduction to a very complex topic. But I think in the end, no matter what you pick, a system is better than no system. And these Kanban-based systems are super easy to start with. They're low and barrier to entry, especially if you are Office 365 customer or taking some of the free softwares out there. And I think that we're just scratching the surface, and we're actually even scratching the surface of Planner. There's a huge opportunity for business automation and integrations that we're going to cover in our next segment next month on business automation and process, that sort of BPA, that sort of thing. But if you have a chance, please check out our YouTube channel. There's tons of information on there. There's some great data. We do quite a bit. And to kind of conclude our modern workplace, we're going to talk about unified communications and communications for the modern workplace. And, you know, kind of unified communications is a term that's kind of come out. You know, you see people say it, UCAS, you might see that out there. We're going to demystify it, put some context to it, and make some decisions on how it integrates into your day-to-day workflows. All right. And Matt, thank you so much for this awesome stream put together. It is really informative. And I know we use it every day, but sometimes you learn something new. And thank you so much. Really
absolutely. Look, we're gonna do this again next month. I'm gonna jump in and we're gonna talk automation, and it's gonna be I don't know if it's gonna be a hootenanny. It might be a shindig.
It'll be a party. Very good. All right. Well, thanks, everyone. Guys. Have a great week. Thank you, everyone.
Bye, everybody. Thank you.
Bye now.